Our next speaker came a long way to be here today. I had the pleasure of working with teacher John Camponeschi at the CEA member forum we held in Alamosa. We were so impressed by his conviction and his eloquence in talking about the needs of his students. We just had to ask him up here to meet all of you. John is a middle school teacher in tiny La Jara, Colorado. His district and his school, they don't have very many resources to start with. So every dollar and every minute has to be maximized to improve the lives of their students. Unfunded mandates are literally crushing the San Luis Valley. And we need to do more to support teachers like John and their students. Please welcome John Camponeschi.
Good afternoon, Colorado! If today's atmospheric conditions coupled with the crowd gathered in front of me right now show us anything, it shows us that those who care about education will weather any storm necessary to fight for our students. Thank you for joining us here this afternoon at the Capitol. As I do in many of my lessons with my students, I want to start by telling you a story. My mother died of cancer in late 2013. As I was going through her effects, I discovered a journal entry dated September 3rd, 1986. I want to share that journal entry with you now. John started kindergarten today. The school bus picked him up at 7:35 and brought him back at 4 o'clock. What a long day for him. He was a bit nervous getting on the bus. A bit nervous was a bit of an understatement on my mother's part. As the school bus rolled off, kicking up the dirt road, tears came to my eyes. John's father and I have, to some degree, given up a part of our son to the Democratic cause. I have mixed feelings about this. He's such a bright, vibrant boy. He's so full of spirit. I hope school will not stifle and discourage his uniqueness. Amen. 3 years later, my mother got a phone call. I had caused a fuss in class over the coloring of the Mayflower, which were to be taped to the wall outside of our classroom. I was not coloring within the lines, which upset my teacher. Yeah. When she told me to color inside the lines, I asked her why. We're just going to cut them out anyway. She didn't like my answer. Consequently, my mother didn't like her response either. While it is true that students in today's schools are given opportunity to use creative thinking, as I did when I was in school, that opportunity is being severely hampered mainly by the time dedicated to standardized testing and standardized curriculum. While we often say you cannot press a square peg into a round hole, that is exactly what we have been unwillingly compelled to do with the adoption of more standardized tests and more standardized curriculum year after year. Standardized tests and curriculum produce one thing: standardized students. Actually extend that. It produces standardized citizens. Just as my mother placed her trust in the local public schools to raise a democratic citizen, we have placed our trust in national and state governments to extend to us the courtesy, the gratitude, the support we need to keep our educational institutions, our students, not only stable, but growing and thriving. My friends, that trust in government is waning. What is so beautiful about this movement, which we are all a part of here today, is that as I look into the crowd, I know that teachers now stand ranked with administrators who stand with their school board members, who are backed by the power of the students and the power of the parents. Groups that have at times in the past clashed have now risen together with a united message. Let's join together to create solutions to these problems. Education is the basis of democratic process. If our standardized tests are producing standardized citizens, we must then wonder about the creativity we will unleash into our state and our country once these students leave our classrooms. Our students and our nation deserve more creativity than is allotted by standardization. I, as well as my students, are more than a standardized test score.